Welcome everyone to another episode of This is a Revolution, your weekly RevPro podcast. I'm George, here as always with Mr. Dave the Mark, ready to discuss a special question and answers episode. Dave, how you doing, my friend?
All right, mate. All right. I'm very tired. I'm very tired is the answer. I've been at the tattooist today and had 6 new tattoos, including some quite painful ones around my shin and Achilles and ankle. And I was only there like 2 weeks ago, so I could almost feel my body being like, whoa, 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 whoa. We've not healed from the last ones yet, and you're making us do this again. So yeah, I am sleepy Dave today, but I've got myself a fruity little cider to kick me up. I've had an emergency espresso, so hopefully I'll come alive any minute.
The big question everyone wants to know: where did you get the big face picture of Andy Quilden tattooed onto you?
Right here on my heart.
Oh, love it. Love it indeed. Good. Well, you know what? I'm glad you're wide awake for everything that's to come now, Dave, because we have got some good questions in the mailbag, and we thought it was only fitting to do this in the lead up to Portchester Hall, because at the moment we quite rightly don't have any details of any matches happening yet, because why would we? Like, we're a few days still removed for those who are watching this by the time it gets round to Monday. We're recording this a bit earlier than normal. So at this stage, we have no card. I'm not expecting anything until at least going into next week at this stage anyway. So we thought this is a nice way to ease us back in. And, you know, at the end of the shows at the weekend, people are going to have questions. It was like WrestleMania, as we've said, where you've got your season ender, and we're now due to kick off the next season, right? That's what it feels like. And usually what comes out is questions. People will be sliding in DMs and asking questions anyway, so why not turn it into an actual thing?
I've got a question for you to start us off, mate.
Ooh, go for it.
Anniversary show next year's one day.
Yep.
Just the Saturday. Does that tell you Copperbox?
That tells me Copperbox.
Yeah, that's the vibe I get.
I think Andy has said before that he tried to get Copperbox for this year. Couldn't get it because it was booked. And I think I recall him saying, even if AEW is not in town, and we know they are, but I'm sure I heard or something along these lines that he would still go for Copperbox.
Yes, yeah. I definitely recall that. I can't remember in what form, but I definitely recall it.
Yeah, so I am, I'm happy about that. In terms of venues, it comes a close second to Crystal Palace for me. Crystal Palace is much easier for me to get to in terms of when I'm travelling up, travelling home, even just travelling across the venue. But hey, we'll make it work. Like it's going to be a
Crystal
great
Palace
night.
is the most divisive, isn't it? Like
100%.
Some people love it, some people hate it, and I think it really depends on your experience of whether you got the side of the stage in the ringside area where it's back seats or benches, whether you were facing the sun or had the sun behind you.
Yes, I think there's that, and that's some good stuff. I mean, look, for me, because I realised what I said, I think it was yesterday, I posted a tweet saying I'd take Crystal Palace over York Hall every single time, which to some people is sacrilege saying that, because York Hall is this vaunted place that people just like hold in such high regard, and I get it, the history of it. I'm not as attached to it in that way as a lot of people are. Like, I've been in there twice, so I don't have all these memories over the years. Now, if you say to me the Doncaster Dome, that is my York Hall, right? That is all the history and memories for me. But at Crystal Palace, I find the security.
Yeah, I like the schedule that can include both.
Yeah,
but like a bucket list for me is a York Hall show that is a full-on max to capacity sellout.
Yeah, I can imagine that would. Yeah, that would be.
I don't
That
know.
would be
I
great.
didn't do Summer Sizzler last year when MJF was in town, so I don't know if that was my opportunity missed. But when you
Yeah,
watch back like old RevPro from like 2015, 2016, like in the proper boom period of British wrestling,
yeah,
um, you can see how many more additional seats they had to put out to
yes, yeah,
fit people in,
yeah,
rather than now where it looks like it's a really good sale, but you can, when if you look up on the balcony and you look down, you can be like, well, you could fit more seats in here and here,
hmm
but once everyone sat down, it doesn't look like
yeah,
that. Back in the day, it really looks like people are crammed into it.
yeah. For me, it all comes down to the experience I have with the venue. So it's not even about necessarily anything. Security guards at York Hall are shit, right? In my opinion, they're just terrible, horrid experiences every time I've been. The place, look, I know Crystal Palace wasn't much better at times, but it bakes in there when it's hot. The bar you can just never get to because it's always packed. Um, if you don't want to sit up on the balcony and you don't get front rows, you then got seats that are just flat level in comparison to Crystal Palace, which has the nice tiered seats. So for me, yeah, all of the stuff at Crystal Palace is just nicer, and I also get the added benefit of I can just go up to Clapham, so I only have to get the train as far as Clapham, then jump on a train 10 minutes back the other way, and I'm at Crystal Palace, which
Yeah,
just for me travelling home same day means that I then get about an extra 15-minute leeway by the time the train eventually leaves Waterloo, gets to Clapham Junction, gets settled down, all of that sort of stuff. 10-15 minutes usually gives me a little bit extra time that if the event does run long, I don't have to worry about missing my train either. And I like the venue at Crystal Palace. I like how it looks. I like the beams that they've got, the lighting. Um, I like that you can go along around the top if you do want to get up and go out of something, and you've still got the ability to see what's going on quite nicely. I think the biggest one that I've ever heard people say that the reason that they prefer York Hall is because they're from an area of London that means it's closer and they have to traverse across London. That's usually what I hear about it. And look, I
yeah.
get
I
it.
I never factor in how convenient somewhere is for me to get to, in whether it's a venue that I like them running or not, because I'm very mindful of the fact that a longer journey for me is a shorter journey for somebody else. Right?
Yeah,
Crystal Palace is the hardest one for me to get to in London, but it's the easiest one for everybody that I know who's like Southampton based. So
yeah,
it's
yeah.
swings around us. I wonder if the cost benefit analysis for Andy will ever mean that he tries to run Wembley Arena when
Mm,
AEW are running Wembley Stadium, because I know that was his first choice before the Copper Box was to run Wembley Arena
interesting.
for the sheer optics of
Yeah,
AEW's running Wembley, RevPro running Wembley.
yeah,
Like they're at the Wembley Stadium, we're at the Wembley Arena, two huge venues. Um, but I know running a new venue, especially one of that size, is a huge amount more work when it's one you've never run before.
of course, yeah, yeah,
Like in terms of like it's all the stuff that you just you wouldn't think of, like risk assessments
mm,
and like insurance paperwork and stuff like this. When a venue's been run twice, you can. It's like when you. For me, it's like when I've run a school trip twice before. You can literally get all of last year's paperwork and edit it to change the dates on it and submit it again.
mm,
Whereas when you're doing it from scratch, you
yeah,
are
of
doing the
course, yeah.
paperwork from scratch. So I wonder if the fact that Wembley Arena probably wouldn't get them any more people than the Copper Box would get them. It just sounds and looks cool that it's Wembley.
Yeah,
That if the cost is too much for the benefit.
and you've also got to consider as well where you say it wouldn't get them any more people, but there's potential that people could be staying closer to the area, and that could be something that benefits them. And go,
Yeah,
actually, let's do that. It could have the opposite effect, couldn't it? Because people also know it's a known quantity what they're getting with cock box shows. Like they know how to get there, they know what's around. If you're anything like me, creature of habit, and let's just say that the wrestling community attracts a lot of people with similar tendencies, you will find that they'll like being in that safe bubble if they know what they're getting from it. So, all Andy's promised me is that it'll be somewhere with air conditioning. So, and I found the temperature in the copper box be lovely last time. So, yeah.
I've never been more grateful for the little portable fans that I keep in my bag.
Oh, absolutely, mate.
Just
absolutely.
A world of difference if you're just sitting there the whole show like this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, this is lovely. I'm not hot in the slightest.
Yeah, that was me at York Hall and still getting hot air blown at me from it. It was,
And that's the thing that I only ever bought the little fan for Phoebe when I took Phoebe to Revolution Rumble.
Yeah.
And then I accidentally left the fan in my bag after the show and realised it was in there at the next 229 and was like, I'm hot. Why don't I just use this? And now I won't go anywhere without.
Yeah. Yeah. I bought one. Good friend AJ mentioned, we were just chatting about it one day in a conversation, and I was like, you have just reminded me I needed to buy one of these for York Hall. And I bought it, and yeah, it was
RevPro need to sell them.
Yes, they do. Yeah,
RevPro branded portable fans on the merch table. Get a little RevPro logo on it. Job done.
They would make some money, my friend. Right.
Same with umbrellas on wet days.
Oh God, yeah. Imagine that RevPro umbrellas. Whatever next. Right. Shall we crack on with some questions, my friend? We've got
hit us, mate. Hit us.
10 or so questions that we're going to work our way through, and we've got about 45, 50 minutes. We can get through this and give some good thoughts on it. So, the first question is from Adam Woodman. Any idea where Zazira is headed? So,
I mean, WWE, right?
Yeah, I mean that one has. If your chances are, if you keep an eye on the wider workings of wrestling, Twitter, news outlets, and stuff like that, you've probably heard this one already. And it's WWE reported by Fightful. I think it was Corey Brennan in May. I will admit this is the one. This one did slip me by at the time as well, because I'd heard that Mike D and Igor Blanc had both been signed.
It felt like they were a little bit more publicly talked about than Zazira.
It really did, yeah, a lot more prominent, and they had, I think, was it WXW or I think WXW did a Mike D farewell match. In France, I think it was BZW did an Igor Blanc farewell match. For some reason, Progress did a Mike D farewell match. That was interesting. But it really feels like they were like prominently hyped up with it. With RevPro, you heard this is happening, but what you were seeing on screen didn't, like, there was no, this is Zazira's last match. And I think, like we said on last night's pod, which hopefully by this point you've all gone and watched because it'll have been out, no excuses. We said then that this felt like it was the biggest send-off that could be given for him, and if the stuff going on around the ring didn't give it all away, the stuff everyone said, Andy Quill on the wrap-up show again just hammered the point home of this is it for now.
Yeah.
Which
I felt like it was a given that Igor Blanc, Mike D, and Zazira would be like sort of pillars that NXT Europe was built around. But that kind of venture seems to have gone quiet again.
Yes, it does. And from what I'm reading, it's not just gone quiet for us as people hearing about it, but even Corey himself said that he's not heard much about it. And I think, from what I understand, the plan is that they're all headed out to Orlando and going to NXT proper.
Which is, I find really interesting, right? Because it feels like a bigger opportunity if you go to America.
Mm-hmm.
And you're in Orlando and you're in the Performance Center and you're working with Shawn Michaels and you're trying to get onto NXT Netflix television.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, if it had been NXT Europe, you'd think they would be like the biggest stars of it.
Oh,
Like the
absolutely.
guys that
They are
all
your
the stories
pillars.
are built around. It's yeah, I will be following it very closely.
Same. And it's one of those things. I don't watch WWE product. I don't really watch NXT. I used to watch all the time in the black and gold era. I don't really like what modern NXT is. To me, it isn't NXT. It's just a different show with the same name. Honestly, I just don't understand how Zazaya, as the type of wrestler he is, even works on that kind of show. But that is just me saying, I don't know how this works. I will be, like you, following it closely. I'll be showing so much support to the lad and hope that whatever he does, whatever he's given, we know that he'll make the most of every single opportunity he's got, and he's going to absolutely smash it and just go on to do like massive things. So please, if you're one of those people that, like me, isn't a massive fan of WWE or that style, let's not with the tired, oh, this is where careers go to die and all of that sort of stuff. Just be happy that someone's achieving their dream, the next step of their career, and making some guaranteed money, because that's what it's all about. The next question, Dave, comes from Chris. I don't know, Burke. I don't know how to pronounce it, but Chris.
Lovely Chris in Sheffield.
Chris in Sheffield. Let's go with that. Next Doncaster show, and will it be Uprising?
Well, we know that there'll be a Doncaster show between now and the end of the year. At least that was the plan when Andy said earlier in the year that there'd be 2 Doncasters this year.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to be Global Wars because we've had that. So it feels very likely that it would be Uprising. But at the same time, Summer Sizzler and the Anniversary were within a month of each other. Maybe Andy said that they will run over 50 shows this year. Now, I don't see how they get over 50 shows this year with what's announced. But there's still a lot of weekends. Like there's a weekend free in September. There's a couple. There's one in October, one in November, and 2 in December that are all free.
Yeah.
I assumed at the start of the year that they were weeks off, but maybe they're just, let's see what opportunity arises at those points. What I will say is I definitely think we get an Uprising this year. I definitely think we get another Doncaster this year, and therefore it's probably likely that they are the same event. But I wouldn't be surprised at all if it was different events, because I feel like we're moving to a more regular kind of big event schedule than when I first started going to RevPro.
Yeah.
It was like 4 a year.
Yeah.
4 York Hall shows a year with everything in between, connecting the dots.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think what we've seen with Doncaster dates, we've seen one in, was it in October, and then one in a late April-ish time. So kind of 6 months apart. So you probably think if they're doing 2 a year, once every 6 months feels like a logical conclusion to come to. Looking at that would then lead you to late October, early November time. That time of year, November, December. But I mean, it's been more
Which
December.
is quite early for Uprising, isn't it? When Uprising's been in previous years.
It's usually Uprising's usually been within the fortnight before Christmas, usually, because I know last year I didn't go because of how close it was. A couple of days before Christmas, and then the year before I think it was 2 weeks before Christmas. I remember that one.
Yeah,
so,
and I think 2022 was the same. That was the first Uprising I went to, which was Ospreay and Ishii was the main event. I think that was Christmas time as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So maybe it's a pre-Uprising event, or maybe Uprising just comes a little bit earlier. The J Cup was in summer this year; it's been in autumn previously.
Yeah.
There's no fixed schedule, is there? It's not It's not WWE where the Rumble's in January and WrestleMania's in April and SummerSlam's in August. Like,
Yeah,
it's not rigid.
no, exactly. So yeah, I do think there's another Doncaster show. I think it seems likely that it could be Uprising or another show with Uprising to follow in December, or it could just be Doncaster in December. But I bloody hope not, because that will be the ultimate trek to get to, and would probably mean I do miss out on a Doncaster Dome show. Next question from our lovely Sharon. How do you feel about the how do you feel the Great British Tag League went, and were you happy with the overall result? Let you kick off on that one, Dave.
I'm very happy with the overall result, and I think the Tag League was the best Tag League that I've been like a part of RevPro fandom for. My third Tag League. First one was won by Velocities, second one was won by Greedy Souls, and this one, Joshua and Mills. Definitely the right result for me. Talked about that in yesterday's pod quite a lot. I think it does more for Mills and Joshua than it did for Cowboy Way. And if we go back to when the brackets were first introduced, I feel like Mills and Joshua are the team that benefit from it the most. And unless you do it as part of the Sons of Southampton storyline, but I think that would have been jumping the shark a little bit, because that still felt a little bit early in its like formation. In terms of the best quality final we could have asked for, I think we got it.
Yeah.
And in terms of the best result, I think we got it as well, mate. Yeah, so really, really happy.
Yeah, I look the actual match, like final itself, like I said to you, I think the right result came out of it, but I'd have been happy with either of those two teams, right? Like with the work that Manders has done, not seeing like I'm not saying about Shire, but Manders and RevPro, the work that the guys Jay and Connor have done, like those three guys especially deserved that spotlight and deserved that moment. So it was wonderful. That was the final I wanted, assuming that we were going to end on a traditional one-on-one tag match. I know I was trying to manifest Young Guns in there somewhere, but look, I knew that wasn't going to happen, because that's just not how Andy does things. Like, we've had canon playoff matches before and all of that sort of stuff. So I got exactly what I wanted. One of the things I saw, the criticisms of this tag league was that it was the way the schedule worked out left some people feeling a little disjointed from it, because it's not been the same as it has been in previous years. However, this is also clearly one of those moments where you've got to factor in, like, you're working with some big name talent here who are going to be booked up for days, and you've got to work on their schedules. So it's one of those things that, again, Andy would have ideally liked, I'm sure, to have them also every show. You could do a couple of matches, get down the normal route, and you can every week go, oh, who's here. For some, yes, it might have felt like it telegraphs a little bit more where certain teams might win, might lose, but I think they worked with what they could. And what I mean by that, and that sounds like damning with faint praise. It's not meant to. It's just that sometimes when you're not the biggest boy in the schoolyard, you've got to work with what you can get, and that is what RevPro are having to do here. They're having to create this tournament that's got 8 teams in it, working on all of their dates, flying people in internationally as well, aligning that with work they're doing in other promotions across Europe to make it cost effective, because it's great being able to get Manders and Shire and the GYV in this tournament, but it's got to make business sense as well. And that's
absolutely right. And ultimately, like literally, Andy said this himself on one of the podcasts I listened to last week. What would you rather have? Would you rather have a tournament that's booked completely logically with A versus A team plays B team, while C team plays D, and then A plays C while B plays D, perfectly logical sequencing? But we say no to Cowboy Way, and instead of having Cowboy Way, we just pick up another British indie tag team and throw them in the mix. Or you let the schedule go a little bit askew, but you get Cowboy Way. Well, Cowboy Way versus GYV in Southampton justifies it. I'm sure the Berlin crowd absolutely loved getting Cowboy Way versus Young Guns. And if there are fans out there that think it's wrong that RevPro put that match on in another country instead of in England, it's like, well, you know, I think you're looking at it the wrong way. Like it's about building a fan base across Europe, not just staying in the comfort zone of the same venues all the time. And do you know what? Like an additional thing, there was still loads of jeopardy going into the final day. There was lots of different outcomes that we could have got. We could have had a three-way tie in one block. We had a straight shootout in another block. We've set up the trios tournament really nicely because now True Lacey and Caven have got real beef with CPF. So you can imagine that those 6 will all be in the trios tournament, which is just a couple of weeks away. Yeah. And that there'll be some payoff there. Sons of Southampton didn't get the job done, and we saw a little tease of their whatever it is in Crystal Palace when Francisco pulled JJ back and gave him a cuddle. It fed in nicely for the Bryant brothers because they are absolutely learning in their win or learn journey. So yeah, I feel like it played out perfectly. If you know, the only thing you could have possibly asked for is perfect dates, but we're nitpicking there.
Yeah, exactly. Next question is a 2-part question, so I'm going to ask you the question as a whole, and then we'll go bit by bit. So this is from Brody O'Brien, and this question says, how long will Mills and Joshua coexist for, and what's next for the GYV? So
yeah, I remember this. Guy sent in 2 questions, and I thought we would put them together.
Yeah, so I'm you know what, I'm gonna kick this one off. Mills and Joshua, how long do they coexist for? I'm taking this to be coexist in the way of, can they coexist? The WWE way of the American TV, are they going to be able to coexist, right? This for me isn't a coexist kind of scenario, because usually when that happens, it's 2 people who are diametrically opposed opposites, like a David Francisco, like a JJ Gale, right? Like an MJF, like an Adam Cole. These 2 guys seem so aligned, and they are more alike than they are different. And the only team that I see them, or the 2 teams maybe I see them as similar to on the RevPro roster, in that sense, are Young Guns and GYV. In the sense of, if they go to war with each other, or they've got an issue to settle, they'll settle it in the way that Ethan and Luke did in Berlin. Now, I know that was more of an exhibition, but they've got no problem going in there and knowing that when they step between the ropes with the other guy, that they are opponents at that time, and it's all for one. So I don't think we ever get a dissension as such. I think this is one of the few teams that, unlike Mills turning on Oku, this won't happen here. I think there's a mutual respect that will forever go out the thread with these guys. I think that at some point they are going to drift apart in terms of the majority of their matches will be singles matches. I don't think that ever means that they don't coexist and they're going to split up. What about you, Dave?
Mate, I hope everything that you just said is exactly how it plays out. I think you'd bite the hand off of somebody who could present you a fantastic tag team in British wrestling where the individual wrestlers are as good as Mills and Joshua. They work together as a tag team as well as Mills and Joshua do. They've got the look, the sound, the popularity, the merch. Like, they are like literally the perfect tag team. I don't see any benefit in splitting them up. No. Short-term benefit would be there, like, yeah, it would be a hot program between Mills and Joshua, but long-term, you've lost a really cool tag team. Yeah. So I'd be much more interested in them, as you've said, keeping them together and letting them drift apart at times and come back. Like, you know, Andy always says, doesn't he, that nothing gets forgotten in RevPro. Relationships between people don't get forgotten. No one's ever going to go from being like an established tag team to breaking up and then kind of just coming back together just like that, or you know, two people that have been bitter rivals suddenly becoming friends overnight. Like it's always going to be logical in that sense. In which case, don't break them up. Maybe just let them go in different directions, knowing that at any point when one needs backup, they've got the other.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw out a bold hot take here. So I've said there that, I mean, part of the reason why I think that you don't split them up as such is because there will come a time when they need to go against each other, and I think having that mutual respect there between the two of them works so well. I think at some point by the end of 2026, there will be a title match, an undisputed British title match, contested between Conor Mills and Jay Joshua. And with all of that behind it, that's why you don't split them up. Because, like you said, it doesn't mean as much. It just has more history. So then I'll ask you first. What do you think is next for GYV?
It's not very inspiring answer, this one. I think it's just a case of the fact that GYV will probably not appear until closer to the next big show, or the big show after that, or the big show after that, and then they'll get worked back in again. They come in when there's a real purpose for it.
Yeah.
It's not like, you know, it's not like a British talent where it can be, oh, we'll book Flying Bryant Brothers versus True and Lacey this week. Why not? Both tag teams need reps. We can build something out of it if we want to. It could be another loss for Flying Bryant Brothers, a good win for True and Lacey to set them up for the tag league. But sorry, not the tag league, the trios tournament. It's not like that with GYV because you're talking about flying them on a transatlantic flight. Like that's high cost. So what's the purpose? It's got to be high purpose because it's got to sell tickets.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't sell tickets, why have them come over? Unless they happen to be in the country already, and I don't see them in the next few weeks and months being in the country for more than a weekend at a time. So I don't think we're going to see them regularly at all. I don't think this was they were literally here for the tag league. When you look at the dates that they worked, their 3 tag league matches were Summer Sizzler and the day after Summer Sizzler, so one weekend, and then the week before the Crystal Palace show. So therefore, you've got them the week before. They might have stayed in the country, they might have gone home. I think they actually went home and came back again for Dynamite and Ring of Honor tapings. Which, makes sense. Zach Gibson's got a little one at home. So you get every minute you can with them. So that's not all going to be on RevPro's dime, that is it? Because AEW, like Tony Khan's bringing them to the UK.
Yeah.
So he'll pay those flights.
Exactly.
It's about making it work business sense wise, isn't it?
Yeah, I agree with you on all of that. I think they just rock back to Orlando. They're going to do their thing. And like I said, they're not a team you can have week in, week out to run stories throughout the year. They are just an attraction team. We need this, and it's something big to give to guys. It means that when you get the Cowboy Way in there and put them over GYV, it's like, oh, we've elevated these guys even more now because GYV is an established team.
In the last 12 months, GYV have put over Sunshine Machine, Cowboy Way, and Young Guns.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, they're an incredible asset to be able to make use of from time to time.
Yeah. And even in a singles match, Zach Gibson put over Michael Oku as well. Uprising 2023.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
Yeah. So, with you on all of that. The next one from Burning Hammer. Does wins over JJ Gale and Conor Mills set Yuya Uemura up for storylines in RevPro?
I don't think so. I think that is simply an opportunity to use New Japan talent that RevPro's never used before. That no British fan or European fans ever seen live before, unless they've gone to Japan or America to see him. he went over Mills and Gale, but I think that's definitely a political move, and that is New Japan saying you can have him, but he can't lose, because he is definitely he's being positioned, isn't he? Him and Shota Umino and Yota Tsuji, they're three of the guys that New Japan are trying to build the next generation around. So he's got to be seen as a star wherever he goes. I believe we'll have him back. I believe we'll see him back again in the future, but I don't think we'll ever see him in RevPro for storylines, at least not in the foreseeable future.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, like you said, it could be one of those ones that is now used to pop. Like, remember this guy that you loved that weekend? Like, he's back. It could become like a nice new recurring person that comes over for RevPro every 6 to 12 months. Pops the card a little bit. People go, oh yeah, I remember him from last time. He gets people booked in. However, on what the question, do wins do any of these matches set up storylines in RevPro? I think that this match, like the one against JJ Gale, helps the storyline with Dave Francisco and JJ. I thought it was very telling at the end that JJ was really frustrated and David was going for the hug and everyone expected to turn. I've got visions of this being kind of a catalyst for that to continue, but I wonder if we could see something very similar to what we saw with Adam Cole and MJF, where almost JJ pushes David away, and that's what causes David to turn. And so it's not even out of he was never going to turn. Like, he was always going to be. He's still a bit self-centered. He's still a bit of a dick, but he actually was never going to turn on JJ. Like, he has his tag partner, he has his friend, but he's done it because he's been rejected.
What is it the AEW fans used to chant to MJF? He's our
scumbag.
He's our scumbag. Yeah.
And I think we could get something similar here with Dave Francisco, where he strikes because he's been rejected. But
I like that story a lot.
He doesn't get rejected, so I could see that come out of there. Could RevPro build a show in the week of AEW's Dynamite show in Manchester on December the 17th? So look,
that's another question from Mo, who goes under the name Burning Hammer.
Yeah, I am going to say, I'm going to be quite blunt with this. I'm going to say no, but caveat: never say never. Okay, like, if there is business to be done, business can be done, right? And I'm back on the A Squared podcast again, so I'm hearing Andy saying this a lot. There's business to be done there. There is business to be done, right? So that will always exist, and I think it's important to say that whenever I say no to things, that is always in the backdrop that if there is business to be done there. However, it's a Wednesday night in Manchester in December, and it's a singular event. What happens with that is you've got up to 20,000 people who can flock to Manchester, flock to the Co-op Live Arena, have a wonderful time.
You think they'd get 20,000?
No, I don't. But
I don't think they'd get 20,000 for a Dynamite.
That's what they could get. It's also in December, and that's the other thing to bear in mind as well, is that when you're running these big events, Wembley Stadium or the O2 like we've done this year, but Wembley Stadium, and you've got your tentpole event, right? A taping isn't a tentpole event. A pay-per-view is, and it's a very big difference. There's bigger presentation, bigger matches, bigger stakes. I think if AEW just put Dynamite in on August Bank Holiday weekend, I don't think you have all this economy of wrestling events happening around it. I think, but because you're putting Wembley Stadium on, trying to shoot for 60,000 plus fans, that feels like a WrestleMania, as close to a WrestleMania as we're going to get. A celebration of wrestling. So you then have all these little events pop up and go, can we survive in this ecosystem? Yes, we can. I don't see when RevPro does it otherwise. Like, are you going to put it on the Tuesday night for hoping when people get in town? But a Tuesday night in Manchester,
that's a real ambitious move, because RevPro doesn't have an established Manchester crowd. They don't run Manchester currently. It's a long old way
Yep, it is.
for all the workers who are, bearing in mind Andy Quilden's based in Portsmouth, and a lot of the guys who set up RevPro shows are based in Portsmouth and London. So Manchester is a long way to go on a Tuesday, and it's people can take time off work. They can take the day off work for it. I think they'd get a crowd. I think they could run an event. I'm not sure it would draw a tremendously big crowd. I think you'd only end up getting I think you'd be talking about high hundreds, not thousands. In which case, does it make it worth doing?
Yeah, agreed.
Plus, it is historically quite. RevPro do normally run a big show that week, but not in Manchester. So I suppose it's a little bit like, does Andy make any changes when WWE take Raw and SmackDown in England? I know that the crossover between WWE fan and British indie won't be the same as AEW and British indie, simply for the fact that AEW was born from independent wrestling. But I'd be surprised if they did, mainly because the logistics, I can't work out how it would work in my head.
Yeah.
But don't rule it out.
No, and the other things you've got then is if you'd have to do it on a Tuesday or a Thursday, keep people in Manchester for an extra night. If you then run it on the weekend before, the weekend after, you're really negating the point of AW being in town. I think it's one of those things that, in theory, it sounds like a really great opportunity, but when you actually break it down, it just probably wouldn't work, would it? But hey, look, if Andy decides to go for it, there's obviously money there to be made, or at least an experiment there to try. So, right, we're now going to move on to what I'm just going to refer to as the Mark Bradshaw segment. Mark has asked a good few questions this time.
I don't normally put in, when one person asks a few questions, I normally pick one question. I really liked Mark's questions. I thought they were good, so I thought I'd let him have a few. He's a good lad as well.
He's going to have his own segment. He's been very lovely. He's been very lovely to me and my wife over the weekend. So, you know what? He gets
regular listener. We like regular listeners. Cheers, Mark.
Yeah, he did. And also, I just know as well, I'm not going to say what it was, but I know he did something really nice for someone that I know at last year's AW show in Cardiff as well, which ended up in them having a really great time. So he's just a lovely lad. First question. Did Cameron Kai maximize his minutes?
I like that question.
Yeah,
that's a proper question. Did Cameron Kai maximize his minutes? No, I don't think he did. But I think that's because Cam's finding his feet in the role of. I think it's something that people maybe don't realise how difficult it is to be somebody at ringside who has to be constantly interacting with what's happening in the ring, but not distracting from what's happening in the ring. I think Cam could have done more with his facials and his reactions to things. He looked a little bit nervous, I felt at times. But first time doing it, big stage doing it, I'm sure he'll grow into that because he's still such a young guy, and there's a lot to pro wrestling, and he's incredibly good at so much of it. This is a new facet for him. I think he looked the part. I liked the idea of it. In no way, if Mark hadn't asked this question, I wouldn't be talking about it. I wouldn't be going away thinking, oh, Cameron Kai didn't take advantage of that opportunity. But did he maximise the minutes? Did he get the most out of the fruit? I don't think so. There's a little bit more juice in there. But if anyone's going to help him understand how to do that, it's going to be Liam Slater, because like a perfect story for Liam Slater. First time my daughter went to watch him, she didn't know who he was. She had that kind of childlike honesty to her. So when I said, "Oh, his name's Liam Slater," she was like, "Oh, fake Leon Slater then." Like, so she dismissed him immediately. And then he didn't wrestle. He was escorting Cameron Kai to the ring in the J Cup for the semi-final match. And by the end of the match, she was like, "I really like him. He's one of my favourites now. He's really funny." Like, and he wasn't trying to be funny at ringside, but he was being theatrical in the way that he moved and the way that, and that's the vibe she picked up from him.
Yeah.
If she'd seen him cut the promo that he cut on Michael Oku after he beat him in Sheffield, she wouldn't think he's funny at all. But literally the next, for the Revolution Rumble, she'd made a Liam Slater sign. And like, he hadn't even wrestled the first, like that was the first time she'd ever seen him in the ring. So he's someone who maximizes his minutes when he's outside the ring. Amira obviously does it.
Yeah.
When Ospreay escorted Dan Maloney to the ring for a 229 match, he did it brilliantly. When Danny Black escorted Joe Lando to the ring at a 229 match, he did it brilliantly. When Harry does it for Sha, it works really well. I think Cameron just needs a bit more practice with it. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? I would have, when I saw this question, I was like, well, yeah, of course he did, but you make a compelling point, and I think I'm more with you in the way you view it now. Next question from Mark was, who did you feel the worst for all of those who missed out? And presumably means missed out on the shows at the weekend. Look, I'm and I mean this with all due respect, I feel sorry for all of them on a human level, in the sense of it's just the two biggest shows of the calendar, right, so far, and you know that everyone worked hard for it. You know that they all want to be on that show, but I also at the same time, as a fan, I don't necessarily feel sorry for anyone in a sense of I don't ever want a show to be done in a way that has to fit everyone on a card. Okay, and I think we had, apart from like one match which was just like you said, a love letter to RevPro on the Friday night, it didn't feel like there was that many matches that were designed to do that. And I tell you the one I'm going to use as an example, the opposite. The last two big AEW events I've been to. So I was there at the O2 and I was there at Wembley Stadium, right, when it was big, massive tag matches to just get faces and names on cards, right? We've referenced people. If you know who Will Warner is, right, you know that the love of wrestling that lad has, right? He was like a fucking child who had been allowed in the sugar jar and had just drunk an espresso, right? He was that wide and ready to go, like just the excitement, the energy. When we were at the O2, we got into like the third pre-show match at Forbidden Door, and he went, "I'm just going to go and take a wander around the concourse." He was getting bored because it was just no stakes, big tag matches designed to get everyone on the card. So when I say that I feel sorry for everyone as a performer, and this is not trying to have parasocial relationships, but you just know that these people work really hard. I am sorry for them that everything they've worked towards, they've not been able to get that booking, no matter how well they think they might have done. But as the fan, I want the best cards I can get, and I don't feel like changing 90% of it. I would have got a better card. I think, I think what we got was great.
Yeah, I'm with you completely, mate. I'm a big believer in cards being shorter and tighter, and you getting your you earning your spot on the card as being like a rite of passage. I'll tell you, my answer is pretty simple. I feel sorry for whoever was going to be in the 10th match that didn't happen. You know, like it's if you put two and two together, Andy said there were going to be 10 matches.
Mm-hmm.
We know he said himself in the recap that they could have made documentaries on the booking of these shows and the build up to these shows, like how difficult it was. I've spoken publicly about the fact that I know that the criticisms towards Andy for how late things came out were unfair, just from the kind of peek behind the curtain that I get. So a talent, one talent, two talent. I don't know who. I don't know what the match was, but an additional match that didn't get to happen on the Friday night, and possibly an additional match on the Saturday, because they'd said 10, and then we got the Leo Rush action Andretti in Sunshine Machine. But was that always going to be the 10th match, or was that instead of the 10th match, it was going to be 10 matches and the surprise? I don't know. So I suspect someone's missed out there. The person I feel most sorry for is probably Leon Cage. Like,
yes, yeah, I'll give you that. Yeah,
you think like his injury meant he didn't get the J Cup, he didn't get the Revolution Rumble, he didn't get the anniversary shows. He was there at the weekend. We're not going to see him in a wrestling ring for a long, long time. Like the lads still can't walk yet. Like not unaidedly, not without it looking incredibly bloody painful. So I think for him, it's probably the person I feel sorry for, because you have to believe that by now he would either be undisputed British Cruiserweight champion, or he would be in a championship match, or he'd be getting a showcase.
Yeah,
like that's how good the lad is. So good
I'm
question
on that one. Yeah. Which independent star would you want to see debut in RevPro next? Now I'm going to hand over to you, Dave, because I've got a list and I've not stuck with one person. I like this question. I've written a list and I'm going to do a bit of a rundown.
Yeah, I wish I'd thought more about it, if I'm honest. Mark's actual question, it was, which independent person do you want to see next, and why is it Kuro? I would absolutely like to see Kuro.
To be fair, Kuro didn't make my list purely because I was going on the integrity of the question presented in front of me. Who do you want to see debut next?
So if we look at it, I suppose I'll look at it both ways. Who would I like to see back? Like, who's been in RevPro that I'd like to see come back? I would like to see. I'd like to see Kuro come back. I thought he was really impressive in that first contest. I'd like to get another look at Scotty Rourke. I feel like he's someone that I was impressed with when I saw him in St. Neots. I'd like to see him again. And one more for someone that we've seen before. I'd very much like Rio back.
Yeah.
In terms of people that have never wrestled for RevPro, at least not in England, that I'd like to see, I'd like to see Ahura.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to see Peter Tahani. And I'd like to see Lawrence Roman. All standouts from me watching some WXW this year. Three people that kind of captured me straight away. Peter Tahani, actually, more so from the GWF Double Impact show last year.
Yeah.
But yeah, big fan of all three of those guys. So at some point, I'd love to see them come over, and for RevPro to continue to use them when they're on the continent.
Yeah, lovely. Look, when I say I've got a list, I'm not even kidding. I've got a list. Also, first of all, just before we go on, it's funny, Kuro. What's really funny there is that is the name of the operating system I use at work every day. So I think about French professional wrestling, whether I want to or not, and say his name multiple times. Right, so on my list, I had to think about this, and I wanted to try and highlight some like something in the tag division, in the women's division, the men's division, internationally in Europe, and also wanted to highlight some of the probably much smaller names that people may not have heard of as well within some Brit Rest as well. So the team that I saw everyone raving about that said they want to see come to England is Sinner and Saint. Been involved in TNA. They have a great reputation behind them. People really keen on seeing them. I think bringing in a tag team that people haven't had the chance to see much over here is a great option, because the tag divisions can be a bit harder sometimes because you've got to double up with people you usually using people across the card a bit more, bringing a tag team from abroad. On the women's side of things, look, there's a few names. In America, you've got Becca, who is one that is I'm grown increasingly more aware of. Who
She's had one RevPro match, Becca.
has she? Oh,
Yes. I want to say 2023, but it might have been 22
oh.
in the 229.
Well, there we go. Look at me.
But
There's
yeah,
me going.
very few people will remember it. Not because it wasn't good, but simply because the fact that it was a single one-off, and it was so long ago.
Got you. Yeah, yeah. And she just looks fun. The work that she does, and everything that I've watched of hers looks great. She's getting a lot of buzz about her. Yeah, 2023. Look at that. Missed that one. Oh,
Who did she wrestle?
Danny Luna at the 229.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's I know there's a lot of love out there for her. In France, Princess Loriana, who again is someone that very captivating, bags of personality, bags of aura. But again, you can see the improvements she's making in ring. Looks like she'd be someone that would capture your attention. Diana Strong is another one. She is one of Mercedes Mone's most recent opponents. She is a powerlifter from Poland. She does a lot of the UPW shows in the UK as well, around the Southern Coast. Very small wrestler, but very popular with people as well. So I watched a match of hers in Weymouth against Lizzie Evo and Echo. I can't remember what her name is now, but it was as Echo.
Rhiannon Jade?
That's it, yes. And bearing in mind that these two women are in stature just much bigger than her, because she's a very short lady, she absolutely had the crowd on her side. Like, so again, can draw that.
Very short, but very strong. It sounds like you're describing like a Layla Hirsch type.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Would that be a fair comparison? I'm not familiar with her.
No, it would be. But she doesn't present herself necessarily in that like really serious kind of.
Yeah.
Usually with wrestlers like that, they usually like get put them almost like in a
like an MMA style.
MMA style, yeah. Whereas when
strength.
I've seen it, she comes to the ring in like a fluffy pink jacket and stuff like that.
Okay.
Again, someone who's developing and could be another good name to bring in from Europe. See how they fare, much like we're doing with Jane Nero. Hopefully, when she's back and is doing much better. Who else do I have on my list? I'm going to butcher this name, but when we're looking at the youngsters in the UK, on the Welsh scene, Tommy Vrill, I think is how you say his name.
Tommy Vrill.
He seems to be the one that everyone again is talking about, raving about. The stuff I've seen of his looks really good for someone so young. Again, looks just really like tight with everything. Like you'd think he's been doing it for a lot longer than he's been doing. Guy that caught my eye on the last All-Star Wrestling show was Tommy Harrier. I won't lie, when I go to ASW shows, I kind of switch off the work rate part of my brain a little bit and go, once the Haskins match is done with, there ain't no work rate tonight. He caught me completely by surprise. He's one of their younger trainee guys who recently graduated. Very good. Was one of the few people that busted out anything aerial, like did a perfect 450, was doing high flying moves all across the ring. Again, just looked really good and looks like he could be another person who could come into that cruiserweight division, be given an opportunity like a Leon Cage or someone like that, and see what he can do with that there. Brandon Lee is another name that people might be familiar with, but not know where from. I really like him a lot. He's got kind of like a Baron Corbin lone wolf kind of look to him. He carries himself really well. He's very good, very technical, strikes, hard hit, kind of an all-rounder. I saw a match with him and Haskins in that venue that afterwards I said that could have been a RevPro match. That's how good it was, and that was from both men as well. So I'd love to see him get some opportunities. The last two on my list, Shun Skywalker. I don't believe he's competed in RevPro. Dragon Gate, everything I've seen of his is just incredible. Again, big following. I think that'd be a big name that you could bring over and you get people in because either they're going to see him for the first time and they go, wow, this is what wrestling can be like. Much like the guy behind me who said, don't know what wrestling's all about. I'm just here for it. Wow, I love Will Ospreay. Like, over the course of a night. He could do that on an independent level. And then you've got the people who know his work, know what he's about, and will flock to him. The last one, very last one, not to put any pressure on the lad at all. He is only 17 years old. But the way Andy Quildan was purring over him is Zoltan in WXW. 17 years old.
He liked him, didn't he?
He has an air of a desire as an unpolished gem at the moment. Again, looked really good from Budapest. Look, the way that lad looks to be looking after himself. He's got himself in a scenario where his stuff that he's doing is good. He's got a great position in WXW. He looks the part. That kid ain't eating no langosh, I can tell you that. He could be someone in a year's time. Well, actually, I would say it again. I think within the next year, he does a date in RevPro. Doesn't necessarily mean more than that. I think he does a date. When he's 18, he comes over here because he's only 17 at the moment. But they're some of the people that I could either see or think deserve an opportunity in RevPro, even if it's a one-off match. Just see how they do. They will be.
I like that, mate. I like that. Very comprehensive.
Oh, right. Next question. This is Mark's final question. Would TNA allow Danny Luna to work Mercedes Mone one-on-one as was teased? What do you think, Dave?
So do you remember the first Copperbox show? After Oku beat Trent Seven, the lights went out and Spike Trevay appeared behind him.
Yeah.
And it was like that kind of holy shit moment. Progress champion, RevPro champion. It was teased. We never got Oku and Trevay. So clearly the idea was presented, but nothing could be worked out between Andy and Lee McAteer or whoever it was in 2023, if it weren't Lee. And Spike went down a different route, feuded with Robbie X, feuded with Sha Samuels, and then we haven't seen him since then. I feel like this was a little bit of, we've got Mercedes and we've got Danny in the ring at the same time. We've managed to get away with putting this match on without anyone complaining to us. Mm-hmm. So let's give everybody the tease without actually confirming anything. And now if we can make it work, we've planted that seed and we can watch it grow. If we can't make it work, it's not like it was, we were shown something that we never got. It was literally just a look between two people. So I think it's a bit of a sitting on the fence answer, because I feel like it's a conversation that Andy has to have with TNA, and ultimately TNA will turn around and say yes or no.
Yeah,
my gut feeling is they'll say no, because whilst Andy sometimes has to compromise what he wants for the relationship with New Japan and AEW, TNA will have to compromise what they want for their relationship with WWE. That's wrestling politics, isn't it?
Absolutely, and it was part of the reason
why we can get it. I'll be bloody delighted, because it would be an absolute banger.
Yeah, I guess for me then, I'm not going to add much to what you said, other than never say never.
Yeah,
but quite unlikely.
And to be fair, 63 episodes into this podcast, one thing we've learned is I'm quite cynical when it comes to how likely something that people might want that seems ambitious can be, and often I'm wrong. So who knows?
But also, as we've done 63, 64 episodes in, we've gone from that first episode last June, where if you even presented the idea of Mercedes Mone just appearing in a RevPro ring, not even being a champion, we'd have gone no chance. If you told us Mina Shirakawa, Stephanie Vaquer, we'd have said no chance, right? Like that just wasn't a thing. And that again, so that's why like RevPro does show that seemingly there are no boundaries, but there will come a time where boundaries will be faced, and I think this is where it is. Moving on, Jamie from Grapple Theory. What is next for the women's division now Mercedes has beaten everyone? And I'm going to editorialize slightly with Jamie's question, because what I think he means by that is the prominent people that are set up as title contenders, okay? Because I think in RevPro, while you have a women's division, you've got two very distinct groups. You've got the ones who would be believable challengers, and you've got the ones that are working to get there. Okay, so you're gonna have your Sapphire Reeds, your Danny Lunas, your Kanjis, your Emerson Janes. In your other box right now, you're gonna have people like Anita Vaughan, who's working up to that. You're gonna have Amira. You're gonna have Zoe Lucas, all working towards that. Mercedes Blaze, Liz Evo somewhere in between maybe as well. So you've kind of got these boxes. I think that, like you, that Mercedes just carries on as long as she's willing to carry on. I think the run goes into 2026, and I will speak a bit more about who I think is going to take the title. I think we see challengers getting elevated over the course of the next 6 months or so. People getting elevated. I think Nina Samuels gets the match against Mercedes. I think Lizzie Evo gets the match against Mercedes. I think we could get Sapphire versus Mercedes 2 this time with the added Cutthroat Collective around.
I think there's absolutely no reason why we can't have Mercedes versus Zoe Lucas at some stage.
Yeah.
That's talking about sort of like top level talents. I'd love to see Rio back in the mix. She's very much an in-demand woman, isn't she? And she
is, yeah.
There's not there is no such thing as Progress wrestlers and RevPro wrestlers, because they're all independent contractors. But when someone is particularly having lots of storylines in one company, quite often you don't see them so much in the other company, just to keep it a little bit different. But I would love to see Rio back at some stage, just because I think she is top bloody notch. But yeah, it's what the phrase you used there that I really liked is people being elevated to have the Mercedes match. Sapphire Reed is still incredibly young, and she is still really, really. If you think about the fact that if she goes to the top, if she and if we're talking about the top of women's wrestling, you are talking about Mercedes Mone. You're talking about Charlotte Flair.
Yeah.
So you're talking about her. You're talking about her in 10 to 15 years' time being at that level. So right now, her having a match with Mercedes is a huge elevation of her. And I feel like there are lots of people that are still there that you've named. We're not going to see her every week, of course we're not. We might not see her now for a couple of months.
Yeah.
But if she carries the belt, let's say, for example, she carried the belt for the next 12 months and she lost it at next year's anniversary show. I don't know if that's what people want or not, or whether we think that's best or not. But realistically, I don't see it running longer than that. So I've gone for the longest time frame possible. 12 months, we see her 6 times. They don't all have to be title defenses.
No.
So we might see her for another multi-woman match with, Cutthroat Collective versus Mercedes and her and a group, but 4-on-4 or 5-on-5 or stipulation match. So let's say we get 5 title defenses. You've named 5 women there, and that's not to thinking about people that could come into RevPro in that time that are of that high standard, like a Millie McKenzie or a Charlie Evans or someone like that, who's very much Serena Deeb. There's no reason why we couldn't have Serena Deeb versus Mercedes Mone in a RevPro ring, because although you'd say that's like an AEW match, or these are people with RevPro kind of history now.
Yeah.
And Serena Deeb is someone who I feel has really embraced RevPro in just a couple of appearances, but now she feels like she's got like the Leo Rush kind of vibe to her, but has managed it much quicker. Well, I say that actually, I think Leo Rush has had it for a long time, to be fair. So maybe she hasn't done it quicker. It's just that Leo had it a long time ago and is still got it. So yeah, I think there's so much more to be done with it, and I'm excited for it. I very much hope we get the Danny Luna, and I hope that's what's immediately next. But we will see.
Nice. Next question is from someone called Emily. Who could that be, Dave? Who could that be?
Yeah, this made me laugh. This made me laugh entirely. So all the questions came through Instagram. So this question is from Emily, aka My Life with Ike on Instagram. Give it a follow, aka my wife. So when I saw that she'd asked a question, I thought she's going to take the piss here. It's going to be like, can you put the bins out? Or something like that. But no, genuinely, she asked a proper question, right?
She did, yeah.
She asked, who do we think is going to defeat Mercedes Mone and become undisputed British Women's Champion?
Yeah, and I reckon we probably got the same answer.
It's
let's wait there, right? So we'll do it. We're going to do this, and it's either going to work out really well, or it's going to be terrible audio video. But we're going to do like rock paper scissors, like 3, 2, 1, shoot. And
okay.
Shoot. We're going to say who it is. So 3, 2, 1, Kanji.
Kanji.
There we go.
There we go. Yeah, I think it's the right story to tell. Everything that Mercedes has been involved with has featured Kanji. I was convinced that Kanji was going to beat Mercedes at high stakes, and it felt like the right thing to do. The way they'd built Kanji up to make her, like, you know, to get the world to see her at the level that we see her at. And when she didn't win, then my thought immediately was that was an investment. Those sit-down interviews and the video package and the money that they spent on promoting Kanji for that match was an investment for when they do it again, because they'll be able to refer back to those videos, back to those interviews, and show everything that happened in between. And Kanji undisputed British Women's Champion. Who doesn't want that?
Yeah, I think you could even do a trilogy of matches, and that could be one of the defenses in between. I think you could run it where Mercedes like uses a little bit of underhanded tactics, not blatant out and out cheating, but in a way that makes you go,
yeah, 100%.
Kanji had her number. You could have a scenario where Mercedes gets herself counted out because she just feels Kanji's got her number and she needs to keep her title. And you could
like the John Cena story that we've got going on with WWE, that like we have him for 12 months. So we're going to do everything we possibly can in the 12 months. We're going to run back all the great matches. We're going to have him heel. We're going to have him face, blah, blah, blah. I feel like that's kind of what Mercedes can be here. We've got her for 12 months or 18 months. Let's have her work face. Let's have her work heel. Let's have her have friends. Let's have her have enemies. Let's find the best matches and run them more than once. Like, let's build as much history as possible. So I would be really surprised if by the end of her run, it's not, you know, heel Mercedes Mone and kind of. It's difficult because a casual fan is never going to boo Mercedes Mone. They're going to CEO dance and they're going to cheer. But can they do enough in the time that she's here to make people cheer for Kanji over Mercedes?
I think they can.
I think they can too.
Yes, they can, G.
Yes, they can, G.
And
for the record, Mrs. Mark, Emily, she's going to come to another RevPro show soon.
Bloody hell.
She's coming to the next Coventry show. I normally take my girls to the Coventry shows.
Yeah.
I can't remember why she's coming. I think I just said, do you fancy going to one? We've not been in a long time. Do you fancy seeing how much it's kind of like, you know, how far some of the people that you've seen, because she hears me talking about these people all the time. And she likes Coventry because it's like right in the city centre and there's shops nearby. And
okay.
my wife is someone, she's very much like me. Our favourite places to go shopping are not like the rich kind of boutique shops. It's the towns and cities that have got a little bit of deprivation because they've got really good charity shops and little kind of bargain shops. She'll love that. She
You've
will
heard it here
absolutely love
first.
going bargain hunting.
The Marks like to go to a deprived town so they can go and get something cheap.
Mate, spot on. Our house is full of cheap tut, mate. Full of it.
Yeah.
She just manages to breathe some life into it so it looks really nice.
But only at the deprivation of others. Look, it could be worse. It could be much worse. Dave could be subjecting Emily to Southampton.
Oh my God, no! I'll never take her to Southampton.
Can't say
she would.
Yeah,
she wouldn't cope.
No, I can understand that. If anyone just caught me just like smiling wildly to myself, it's only because I'm looking at the list of questions. I'm looking at usernames, and for the last hour, I've been trying to work out how you say a name, like a username, and I've just got it. And it's obviously as a play on words, play on sounds, and it's Emma Mame. But I did. I was like,
who it is, right?
But I was like, is that like Emma Mamie? And I was like trying, and I was like, Emma Mame. Okay,
Emma was in Wayne and Emma.
Yeah. But I just didn't at first. I just didn't get it in terms of like the. I just when I saw Emma Mame, I'm like, I like that play on words. Do we still get the Sapphire Reed face turn? And if so, when? I don't think we do.
I don't think we do either.
And I don't want it. I've never wanted it. Or I say I never wanted it. I'm going to be really controversial here. I've never necessarily clamoured for hyperactive in RevPro the way others do. They seem like a great act together, and a really fun act. I think it's too dissimilar to how Sapphire has been presented that for her to just have that switch up right now doesn't work for me. And I think the whole Sapphire going a bit soft thing now feels like vindication. And look, this could be, again, like you said this before, you could be reading too much into it. I could be reading too much into it. And maybe the route was always hyperactive, but then again, actually, let's dial this back. Let's give ourselves options to go in.
Yeah, 100%. I wouldn't be surprised if that was a case of let's kind of tease a bit of both and decide what we want to do as the story evolves.
Or
naturally.
Just hanging the fruit. Yeah, you could just be hanging the fruit in front, going.
Proof's in the pudding when you do it that way.
Yeah. You could just be hanging that fruit, going here you go, and everyone's going, oh, that's what they're doing. Then they're getting hyperactive, and then swerve. That's the other.
I think this is a better story, and I think that it's like the hyperactive red herring's cool. I think with Pretty Psycho and hyperactive, we need someone for them to play off of in terms of like tag teams in the women's division in RevPro. So I feel like Pretty Psycho having the Cutthroat Collective as the heel stable with Sapphire reading it, because Sapphire and Amira are a class together. I really like that. I'm curious to see if a fifth member gets added at some point down the line. I don't think it's a guarantee. I don't think it's necessary. But it has to be the right person. And I do think with Alexis Falcon, you've got that option. But obviously that depends on Alexis's availability. She is someone that works a lot of progress shows as well, often progress and RevPro run at the same time. So is she prepared to give up progress bookings, like potential bookings to wrestle for progress to second someone to the ring at RevPro? Because you look at Cutthroat Collective are on pretty much every RevPro show, but it's not, that doesn't mean Mercedes Blaze gets to wrestle everyone.
Yeah,
it's that they literally take it in turns, don't they? So I don't think we get it to answer this question.
No. Just before we go on to our final question, just seen that our new video has published. Currently on 7 views and 2 likes already. Lovely stuff. We like that, Dave.
That means people have been waiting for it. So it's literally just popped on, right?
Exactly. So again, just thank you all so much. I've noticed like an abundance of likes, comments, all of this stuff happening. It feels like we're starting to get a bit more traction with these shows. And I know sometimes someone uses the term wrestling fatigue, and that can come into it a bit at times. So we know it's always going to be cyclical. And at the minute, we're riding the wave of the anniversary shows. But please, if you are one of the people who are watching this channel and aren't actually subscribed to it, please consider subscribing. It massively helps us. Liking the videos, leaving a comment, even if it's a very short one. All of these things feed the algorithm overlords and push us more onto people's pages. So hopefully more and more people can join. The goal by the end of this year was to try and hit 200 subscribers. We're currently on 161, so anything we can do to help feed that would be marvelous. Time for the last question, Dave. This is from Marcus, aka WCW Lion.
WCW Lion.
That's the one.
Yes.
What is next
one of our international listeners, I believe.
Exactly, Germany, I believe.
Yeah.
What is next for Sha Samuels, and what is next for Michael Oku? This is really funny. I'm gonna allow you to speak first on it, but I was actually back and forth in today with our friend Marty via message today, just talking about Michael Oku and what is next, what we could think is next for him before I even saw this question. But interested to hear your thoughts.
I really don't know, mate, if I'm honest. And I like not knowing, because it means that I'm going into future shows kind of with no kind of pre-thought through thoughts or anything like that. Literally just a completely an open page, a blank book. For Oku, I was thinking to myself earlier, it's very boring getting tattooed. So I was thinking about what content I'll put out over the next few days. I thought maybe I'll have a go at what I would book as the Portchester Hall card.
Mm-hmm.
What 8 matches would I put? And the headlining match that I came up with that I thought would work quite nicely would be Sha and Oku versus Leon and Cameron. But then I thought to myself, who wins that match and who gets pinned? Because it feels like you'd want Leon and Cameron to win. But you don't want Sha to lose when he's just won the championship. You certainly don't want him to get pinned. If Sha and Michael win, it doesn't really help Leon with the push to be like the #1 contender. And I was like, okay, so maybe we don't do that match. So what would we book for Oku? What would we book for Sha? What would we book for Leon? And I found myself finding it much trickier to come up with those 3 people's next steps than anybody else. Like literally every other wrestler I had, I'd do this match next. I'd do this match next. I won't give them all away because I'm going to put a list together and put it out at the start of next week. I think I'll put it out on Saturday, a week before the show itself. I think Oku will have some kind of confidence crisis. I think he's going to struggle a little bit, similar to how he did when Connor Mills turned on him in 2022. And he just looked like a slightly broken man. Maybe not to that extreme, but not quite having the spring in his step that he normally has. And Oku needs to get his momentum back. He needs to get his form back. He needs to work out what's next for the Grand Slam champion when it's not going to be the Undisputed British Heavyweight Championship, because he's effectively just lost a #1 contenders match.
Mm-hmm.
For Sha, I really, really don't know. Because I'm thinking about, let's say he wins his first title defense. Who would you book him against? Who right now should get a title shot against Sha and lose it? Because I don't think it should be Leon Slater. I feel like that's the big match, and Leon should take the belt from Sha. So we need to kind of delay that a little bit. It's like Leon and Sha need to go on a bit of a side quest to come round to have that title match at like Uprising. So I'm kind of thinking like, who's going to come out of the woodwork for Sha? who's going to present him a challenge? Is it going to be TK Cooper? Is it going to be the Sunshine Machine make quick and short work of Trent, and maybe Trent gets written off for a little while so he can go away and be with little baby Dusty? And does that mean that we've got something there because TK beat Sha? TK knocked him out of the tournament. It's not fair that Sha's got this big moment and TK doesn't. That could be a next step. I can't think of another option that works as well as that one, so I think I'm going to go with that.
Cool. I struggled with both of these guys as well. There's a few things. So first of all, I think that the show in Portchester is going to open with Sha Samuels. I don't think it opens with the match. I think it opens with Sha coming out, and he gets that moment. I feel something really consequential needs to happen in that first moment, right? In that first segment. So unless you've got the banger of banger matches that can kick off that show, like your Leon versus Desire, right? That level match, I think have a big moment. I feel like we've got to a stage with Michael Oku where I do think a radical shift in character needs to come. A radical shift in demeanor needs to come. I feel like we've been speaking about this Michael Oku heel turn that they've been hinting for nearly a year now. Okay, and some of that I think was us picking up on little signs that got more overt. Okay, certainly.
Was it literally a year ago that we did the What If episode?
I think it was, mate. Yeah, it was around that time, wasn't it? Which we were picking up on at that point that Michael Oku was going heel, or potentially could be going heel.
Mate, my wife's been picking up on. So my wife, we used to watch it all when I didn't go to all the shows, and I just went to certain ones. We as a family would watch RevPro then. So this is like 2022, pretty much the whole of 2022 and the first half of 2023. And then I basically, no, just 2022 it was. I was going to 229 every month by 2023. But for all of 2022, we'd watch it. My wife would turn around and be like, he's the bad guy, right? Like in the Destination everywhere, he's the bad guy. And my kids would be like, no, what are you talking about? You don't get wrestling. And I'd literally sit there and be like, I know what you're seeing. They're definitely playing with
She
dynamics.
gets wrestling, yeah.
Just putting in little breadcrumbs so that they can go in any direction they wanted.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like ever since I started watching RevPro, Michael Oku has played with the dynamics of being a heel and a face.
And I think that, again, we joked about it, and I said the power of love, right? That was what literally pulled Oku to a mirror Doncaster. It pulled Oku to a mirror at Crystal Palace, right? If you're gonna really try and get these reactions, and again, we don't know whether they're trying for it, but I think they are to a degree. I think they're seeing it and then they're playing up in the moment to see how far they can push the envelope. I think, look, to be blunt, shit or get off the pot. Okay, I think we need a drastic change up in the presentation of Michael Oku, because I won't lie, I'm starting to get a bit bored of him at the moment. In the way of I've been treated so much great Michael Oku, in the same way that I was treated so much great Robbie X, so much great Leon Slater for a long time, that you go, I just need something different in their presentation right now, and I need that fire from him. If I'm booking, I would have Michael Oku just come out and super kick Sha. This is a phrase I feel like I've been saying all weekend. Have Michael Oku come out, and I said, have the show end with Michael Oku coming out, super kicking Sha Samuels, win or lose, right? I'm not necessarily saying that he should be the next competitor for the title, because he should go to the bottom of the list, right?
There's your story in itself, though, right?
Yeah.
Like Oku turning on Sha, being the hideous heel, but having to work from the bottom up, where he can murder people.
Yeah. Yeah.
He can be. Imagine a heel Michael Oku versus Leland Bryant.
Yeah, and I was also having this conversation earlier with Marty, and we were discussing because you then on the other hand you've got Amira in Pretty Psycho, right? Who's an established actor in RevPro. So are we bringing them along for the ride as well? So do you need to turn Zoe Lucas heel? Do you, because surely you're going to turn Amira heel? Does Michael Oku, as Marty suggested, turn heel by blaming Amira for
Yeah.
the thing and super kicking her? And then she eventually comes round to the idea and sides with him.
I have one particular image in my head. Do you remember? This is a bit of a specific memory, so I wonder if you'll remember it. Kenny Omega versus Sonny Kiss in AEW.
I don't remember it, mate. No.
And it was a eliminator tournament match, and they'd done this big thing about Sonny Kiss and like promoting her and like kind of like celebrating the diversity of AEW and how Sonny Kiss is such a vibrant kind of representative of that. It was all around that time, but they were toying with the idea of Kenny being heel without him actually having to be heel. And literally the match lasted about 10 seconds because Sonny Kiss had this wonderful entrance, and then it was V-trigger, one winged angel pin. I don't think Kenny even took his shirt off.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like people were like really unsure, and Kenny's just like, I don't get it. What have I done wrong? I won the match. Like, what did? Sorry. I feel like there's ways you can go out and out heel Woku, or you can just make him a dickhead a little bit more each week.
See, I think for me, I think we need the extreme now. Purely because I feel like we've been teasing the little by little and we've had no payoff. So I think whatever happens, I think we need something bold, a bold move with Michael Oku that really shifts the dynamic of him on the RevPro roster. I think we've had these eking out for so long now that the phrase that you like to use a lot, Dave, is edging.
Yeah.
And I feel like we've edged long enough and we just need it to end.
Yeah, it's a good word.
Yeah.
It's a good verb.
Sha Samuels. This is an interesting one because we don't know whether the career on the line thing now just goes away, right? So RevPro canon suggests it does because Sunshine Machine did the same thing. They didn't retire, or in terms of Sunshine Machine split up. They've now come back together down the line, right? But it was at the time with, if they then lose a tag team match, will they split up? It's like, well, no, of course not, because we won the titles. Like, we're a team again now. That was it own up until that point. So do they establish that Sha will still establish that, hey, once I've lost this, I'm done, right? That is me. I'm representing this and I'm done. Now, I've said controversially, that's the route they go. I would have this end on a regional show. I would have this go no longer than 2.5 months. I'll have it go on a regional show. Southampton, Sheffield, Coventry, one of those regional shows as well. Not London, not the 229, nothing like that. Because the problem you might then have if you go with Sha Samuels on a retirement tour of next time I lose, you've got to have a particular level of opponent for him.
Yeah.
Every single show that could beat him, or an opponent that is not a standout to beat him. So that is why I don't think we go this route. But I mean, look, I'm just gonna say it. I know that Leon gets the title at some point, right? We know that Leon's going to get the title at some point. Have Sha maybe do an open challenge or something like that. Stick the belt on Mills for a couple of months. Have Leon beat him. I don't know. I find it really hard. There's narratives and things I could see that would be interesting. I just don't see how we eventually eke out in an interesting way for Leon in, say, November, December.
I've got one more option. it involves Leon not winning.
Oh,
And Leon's, I promise I will be champion by the end of the year, being the reason why he turns like heel, because he doesn't fulfill his destiny. And that is, for the next few weeks, we get Sha having the time of his life, coming out and basically like an evening with Sha Samuels each week, coming out and like talking to the crowd and just getting huge reactions wherever we go. And in about a month's time, after he's completed his tour of New Japan, his tour of Pro Wrestling Noah, Ricky Knight Jr. returns and destroys him. And absolutely wipes him out. Gets a rematch, beats him. Sha's gone, Sha retires. We got the huge moment of Sha winning, but we also got the emotional moment of him retiring. And we're back on course with Ricky as the heel champion for the next 9 months.
That is another option.
It's what I like is we've kind of gone from I don't really know what's next to coming up with 3 or 4 different options that I think everybody that's listening will probably be able to pick one where they're like, I don't like that one, but I quite like that one.
Yeah, and it makes sense.
Or they're sitting there thinking, no, but hearing you guys say that's made me realise the one I want is this one. And that's the joy of fandom, right? We get to explore the different possibilities.
It is indeed, my friend. Right. I think that's a good place to stop for now.
Yeah, I enjoyed that, mate. I think that was our best Q&A, simply because the questions were the best we've had.
Yeah, agreed. We had some great questions. So thank you very much. Again, thank you to Mark Bradshaw for your whole segment on the pod. They were really interesting. I know I feel like I'm taking the piss. They were genuinely really interesting questions. So thank you.
There were, and to be fair, quite a few people sent 2 questions in, and I just reworded them.
Yeah.
So that it was 1 question, but it really was 2.
Thank you to all of you.
I'd rather have too many questions than not enough. That would be sad, wouldn't it?
Exactly. Thank you to everyone that sends questions. We really appreciate it. By the time this comes out, we will be getting ready for the first show at Portchester Hall. And when we come back the following week, we are hopefully going to be talking about all of the wonderful stuff that happens there. So, Dave, it has been a pleasure, my friend. Until next time, I'm out of here.